Welcome to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelley. I'm an astrologer, a writer, and a card reader, and today is the weekly energy card reading. I host card readings twice a week on my channel, once on Tuesday with what I call my How to Tarot series, and then on Saturday I hold a general reading in which the watcher will choose one of 3 tarot decks. And with that tarot deck, I will go ahead and do a card spread based on your energies to kind of get an idea of the themes of your upcoming week. If you would like to skip the introduction and go straight to your reading, all of the timestamps will be posted in the description box below. So please feel free to fast forward or scrub forward if you want to just go straight to your reading. I wanted to start with just a few general announcements. I first wanted to thank everyone for their support. I have a beloved 8 subscribers and I'm very, very pleased. I'm so thrilled, and I'm so glad that you like the content on my channel. I am definitely going to, I'm kind of preparing this week to do some very fun things starting the 3rd week of November. We have quite a few extra videos coming up the week of Thanksgiving. I will be doing a special themed a special themed video on Thanksgiving Day, in addition to the Tuesday and Saturday readings. And then I will also, on the day of the 20th, and I'm sorry, I'm forgetting what day it is, I think it's Friday, it is going to be another Dungeons and Dragons reading. And if you want to get an idea of how those readings go, please check out the very first one. It's marked as the Dungeons and Dragons card reading. And what it is it's more of a story-based reading. Where I go through and I pull a story card, and then I have kind of a journey with the rest of the cards around it. Now, today I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to make it kind of a straightforward. I've been a little sleepy lately. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but ever since daylight savings, I just feel like the days are so short. I'm cold and I'm moving slow, and I'm like in hibernation mode or something. So so I wanted to kind of keep it fun, but keep it on track. We are also filming at night. I'm sorry, I wanted to get to this earlier, but again, the days have been kind of short. But I went ahead and went with our 3 mini decks today. So I figured it had been a while since we had a mini deck reading. So the first stack is the Everyday Tarot by Brigit Esselmont. And the corresponding stone is a citrine. This is a pretty stone. I use it interchangeably with several of my decks, actually. The next deck is the Sun and Moon Tarot by Vanessa Decort. And with it, I have paired, this is an onyx stone. A good friend of mine tumbles stones, and he's actually working on some obsidian, which is also known as dragon glass. So that's more another stone that's going to be coming up soon, but it looks very similar. And then the 3rd deck is the Zillich Tarot, and paired with it is actually the very first stone I've ever purchased for tarot, and this is an amethyst point. To clarify, I feel like it had been a while since we had any of our story dice, so to clarify, I'm going to use Rory's story dice. And then I have a special deck. I was so inspired by using animals last weekend for the story for the weekly reading that I'm going to go ahead and clarify with a deck called Messages from Your Animal Spirit Guides, and that's by Stephen D. Farmer. The author had done another deck that we had used, the Earth Magic Oracle, and but today we're going to use their animal cards. This is actually the first time I've used that deck on this channel. All of the deck names and authors are listed also in the description box below. And paired with our animal deck, I did a Unikite turtle. I love this guy. I like stone animals, as you've seen. So I'm going to go ahead and I promised that anytime I'm wearing a ring that has a story, that I would give the story. I am wearing my double hug ring or knot ring, and what it is it looks like a knot, but when you look at the top, what it is metal in a knot. One knot is considered a hug, and if you have 2 intertwined. It's considered, you know, two hugs or two persons hugging one another. And this is just a very comfortable ring that I love to wear. Now, before we get started, there was one other story that I wanted to share with you real quick. It was interesting. I really believe that symbols speak to us every day, and what had happened was, I believe it was in the, I think it was in the Lovers How to Tarot reading, but I was using this watercolor deck called the Line Strider Tarot, and I was really drawn to this one card. It had kept popping up when I had been using that deck for my own personal readings this week, and the Three of Wands came out repeatedly, and the Three of Wands has this really beautiful image of two stags on it. And it was funny, I was waiting in line for coffee today at the mall, and while I was standing there, I looked in, you know, and a lot of stores are putting up holiday displays this time of year, and I looked in the window and they had these two stags that looked like, it was almost like the same positioning as the card. And I was so in awe, because I really do, I believe symbols, you know, symbols jump out at you even when you're not doing, you know, throwing cards for yourself. So I just thought that was so interesting, and I wanted to show you pictures of the two images so you could see what I was talking about. But definitely, if you get a chance, if there's something that you see in a reading and then you go out in the world and see something that looks similar, it might be the universe speaking to you. So I just wanted to share that. So, okay, so those are all the stories and all the descriptions. I'll go ahead and pause the video and let you choose your deck, and we'll be back in a minute. Okay, we're back. Okay, but to go ahead and get started, let's go deck number one. So deck number one, what are the energies of your week? What is the energies for deck number one this week? Ooh. Deck number one. What are the energies of your week? And this was kind of flipping as well, so I'm definitely going to go ahead and take that as a clarifier. And we'll move our turtle dude. I'll just call him Turtle Dude until he has a name. Maybe we'll start doing that. I also wanted to apologize. I'm kind of a pendulum learner. When I learn how to do something, I learn how to do it really, really well. Either that, it seems to be one of two extremes. I either know how to do it like flawlessly, or I don't know how to do it at all. And there's some kind of way that you can post like an opinion poll on YouTube, like the same way that you would with other social media, like Facebook. And apparently you can also post pictures, like just a regular post. And I haven't figured out how to do it, but I promise you, I'm trying. I'm trying to figure it out. And as soon as I do that, maybe we can do some fun opinion polls, like you know, in the future, just things like, you know, naming things and other just fun stuff, you know, things to do in the interim. But all right, back to the reading. I'll shush. So deck number one. Ooh, you got kind of two animals. I really love that deck. There's a Roadrunner in there that I get. That's so cute. It's kind of like the lighten up card. And I always want to go meet me. All right, so deck number one. What is the energy of your week? Ooh, guys. All right, so deck number one, for the beginning of your week, you got the World. And then what that means is, and taking it in conjunction with the other cards of the week, you are wrapping up some cycles. this week this might be something that has been going on for a little while now, but you're definitely coming to the conclusion of some major events, and this week is going to be kind of again, it might have been going on for a while now, but this week is going to start, the tides are really going to start to kind of turn. Now, we are at the tail end of a Mercury retrograde, so this could involve people from the past. It could involve talking to people in the past. And the fact that the Mercury retrograde is occurring in Scorpio, and when you look at the world card, the four corners, you have Taurus the bull, you have, what does that look like? Kind of looks like a dog, but it's not meant to be a dog. Let me see what the other ones. The eagle is Scorpio, which is the Mercury retrograde sign that we're going through. And then you have Aquarius, and then, oh, that's lion. That got you. It looked like a dog, I'm sorry. But Leo the lion. So it's the four, what it is the world is the four elements of, the four fixed elements. It's Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius. But the beginning of the week, you're definitely, the world is the wrapping up of a cycle. It's the ending of one cycle and going on to the next. And it's honestly, it can kind of have more than one meaning depending on how well you've been rolling with it. Like if you've been, and again, not to say that the universe does things to you. Anything that happens is happening for you, not to you. But there could be some events that you've been going through that are wrapping up, that you need to wrap up, and if you're resisting it. Now, the world did not come up in the reverse, so that's a good sign, but it definitely means it is kind of like it is referred to as a little bit of a graduation card, but it means that you are letting go of old cycles, and those old cycles are going to be very prominent or very kind of front and center. I mean, it's a major arcana. It's the last of the major arcana. It's card 22. It's the very last card of all of the major event cards in tarot. And so it just means that you're wrapping it up. And honestly, by the middle of the week, I get the feeling like you are in a place that you are accepting these changes. Whatever has to go, you are letting go. But by the middle of the week, you got the Four of Cups, and underneath of it, you got the Two of Wands. And what that tells me is that the wrapping up of these events have not been easy on you. It's made you kind of emotionally numb. I think what's happening is maybe there's some relationships that are represented by the Three of the Cups that are on the ground. And then there may be a few things in life, like as you're the world is a graduation card where, usually when you wrap up a cycle, especially a difficult one, there's usually boons, there's usually like kind of gifts that are given at the end of it. And it's almost like this card is kind of saying that you're almost numb to those gifts or those positive things. You're not really seeing the good right now. You're kind of numbed out. So by the middle of the week, you're just going to feel like, gosh, okay, I went through this cycle. I did what I needed to do. And it's just left me like, okay, I just want to be left alone. I don't want any gifts. And it almost makes you question, like he's almost looking at that cup, even though it's, kind of being given by the hand of the universe. He's almost looking at it like, okay, what more trouble can I get into? I don't want to deal with anything else right now. So I have a feeling that the cycles or that what's cycling out or what you've been dealing with, what you're wrapping up, has put you through quite a bit, and you're almost skeptical of anything else anything emotional that comes along right now. I think you've kind of you're kind of lethargic. You're just kind of numb. Like, I don't want any more trouble. I've already, handled my business, and I'm just really not ready for anything else. And what supports that here is you've got the Two of Wands. And what you see about the Two of Wands is wands are action, and you typically see it as the person who's staring out over a landscape. They're up in the topmost turret of a castle, and then they have one wand bolted to the wall and another one that looks like it's freestanding, and the person is holding a globe. And the world, when you think the world, I mean, it kind of looks feminine here, but she's holding the world, and she's just gone through, you know, the beginning of the week, she's gone through the world. So here, what that's telling me is, you've wrapped up what you needed to, and you have options. You're kind of just in a sit back and look kind of energy. You're not gung-ho about it right now, because you have the wrapping up of these old cycles hasn't been the easiest, and you have some great opportunities coming up. The Two of Wands is a very positive card, but it is it is a card of choice. It's like, and it almost looks like what you're leaving behind, the cycle of what's being left, is not really what you want right now, because you see the body of the person, they're turned towards the Free Wand, and they're holding a globe in their hand, like, I could have the world. I could have the world with this new action, but you have not made the choice yet. So I think the beginning of the week, you're wrapping up a cycle, a very major cycle. By the middle of the week, you're going to feel a little bit kind of like, and again, you know how I was talking about the weather earlier, about how you just feel kind of like in hibernation mode. I think you're just in hibernation mode. You know the options that are being handed to you. It almost looks like kind of a relationship or a new way of life. I think this new way of life will ask you to travel, either that or move. I have a feeling, and I think that's what's playing into this. I am getting this feeling like you've got a wonderful opportunity ahead of you, but it's almost like you're too tired to get started on it yet. And honestly, you know, until we get out of the Mercury retrograde, until we get out of some of these transits moving backwards, you might want to hold off. It's completely good to think about it. Definitely consider. I think the middle of the week is a good time to consider your options, but you are going to be feeling really kind of not, going to be unmotivated, not in a bad way. It isn't that you're besmirking what's being offered. You know what's being offered, and you know it would give you the world, but you really have to kind of sit back and think about it, because you just don't have any energy to devote to it right now. Now, towards the end of the week, you've got some really more heavy energies, guys. Now, it's not bad, but you got Death, and you got the High Priestess. And we talked about like that sit back and wait energy. If you get a chance, if you want to kind of fast forward through the How to Tarot for the High Priestess, just kind of scrub through it. We talked in that How to Tarot about how she is the sit back and wait person. She is the one that uses her instinct to discern what she should do, like what is ethical, what's right. She's very mysterious, but what I see is by the end of the week, you're going to really, these events are really going to transform you, and it's going to transform you into the High Priestess. You're really not doing anything rash right now. You're figuring out what you need to do, you're taking your time in doing it, and honestly, that's a good thing, because if you look at the parallel, the Four of Cups transitions right into the Death card, and the Death card is a very heavy transformation. We typically see that energy as being like the butterfly in the cocoon, and I know that's kind of a romantic way to see it, but it's because you're literally paralyzed. The caterpillar is paralyzed. He's using all of his energy, he's using all of his life force to transform into something else, and the caterpillar does, in that process, he does pass and comes out. It's probably the one animal that actually experiences two lives in one lifespan, if that makes any sense. But that's what you're going through right now. You have a very bright future ahead of you. And actually, if you look at this, the woman in the two is holding a globe. And what is the High Priest holding? She's also holding a globe. And at her feet, she's got a crescent moon. And we just, we just went through a full moon in Taurus. And this is a first quarter moon. So that's probably about 3 weeks out. And that would be after the Mercury goes direct. So I would definitely say that I think what you're doing is you're going through you're going to have a very, I know this is just a week, but you're having a very transformative time. You're cycling out old patterns, and you might be letting go of some relationships with that. You might be considering a move to either a new place or a new home, or just some type of new action that you believe will give you the world and will complete this cycle of the world. And I just think that you have to be, and you're being very practical about it, but this is changing you. It's changing you at a very core level, and you're approaching it in a very wise way. You're showing a lot of wisdom, and you're going to sit back and evaluate everything that you need to do. Now, an underlining card, and this came out underneath the last, is the Nine of Swords. And I think what the Nine of Swords is, it's referred to as the nightmare card, and not in a bad way, but it's straight up anxiety. You're awake at night. You're awake at night. You can't sleep because you're thinking about these events. So just know that by the end of the week, I would definitely prioritize your health. If you are able, and it's going to be very difficult, but if you are able to try to, decompress. If you have a stressful job, try to turn off anything that's stimulating. Like, keep your bedroom a place for sleep only, and turn off the television an hour before bed. Maybe read, drink some warm tea or milk, and just try to keep your sleep schedule on track, like going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time, because you're gonna experience a lot of anxiety about all the mental. You're gonna be very up in your head, especially at night. And it's going to have to do with these major choices, these major decisions you got going on. Now, what plays into it is you got your dice, and you got what looks like it's a break, right? It's something that's being snapped in half. I really think that it's possible in the fact that there are 2 wands and 3 cups. This could be the week following, or it could be 3 weeks following a breakup. But it could also just be, maybe it could also mean that you need to take a break. That sometimes the symbols get very literal. I think it might be telling you to take a break. That's coming through a little bit clearer. Because you have some heavy things going on, you have some heavy things weighing on your mind, and the High Priestess definitely does not jump into anything head first, not when you have this much transformation and this much anxiety about it. So definitely go slow. There's no rush. Whatever you need to decide, or whatever plans you have in place, especially by the end of the week, you're going to be feeling a little bit of anxiety. So take good care of yourself and try not to stress too much, and give yourself breaks when you need it. Now, your advice cards, you got Camel, and I love Camel. Trust that you have the resources to get through the challenges before you. Isn't that a theme? Yeah, so you notice how the camel, they drink lots of water because it's stored in their body because of the long journey through the desert. You're probably feeling like you're traveling through the desert. You really probably feel like you have miles to go before you get to your destination. I think you're in the dream state right now. You have the destination in mind, but you still have to take all the steps and do all the work to get there. And it's just telling you that it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? And just take plodding steps, and you'll get where you need to go. And then the other one that came out as well was Falcon. And Falcon is act on the opportunity that's before you and commit to it without equivocation, which is without doubting it. So definitely, I really feel like you got world holding a globe. So, beginning of the week, middle of the week, end of the week, I think that you know what you need to do. I think you know what action would give you the world. It's going to cause you some anxiety. Taking the steps will cause you anxiety, but it's definitely telling you that you have the resources to get there, and just go for it. That's just saying go for it. So, but take breaks when you need to, or either that or break with whatever is not going to serve or get you to the destination that you need to go to. Okay, deck number 1. Wow. I always get really a powerful read from the Everyday Tarot. Even when I read it for myself, it's always a strong read. I love the cards though, they're really beautiful. All right, so we'll go ahead and put those over there. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do this. Here, we'll put it on top, why not? Okay, deck number 2. You got, I love this deck as well. This is the Sun and Moon Tarot. So, deck number 2, what are your energies for the week? What are deck number 2's energies for the week? Oh, wow. Oh. And what I got is this came out and this crossed it a little bit, but it seemed like an energy. Oh gosh, we got the High Priestess in the 3rd position last deck. I wonder if there's some kind of energy going on in the universe, guys. Okay, I got your dice first last time, so. Deck number 2, or no I didn't, sorry. Again, I'm in sleepy hibernation mode. Deck number 2, what is there? Oh. I wasn't trying to go for 3, but 3 wanted to come out, so we'll read them together. And deck number 2 is your dice. Oh, you got the flute. All right, so deck number 2, what's your energy for the week? Now, in the beginning of the week, you got the 6 of Pentacles. And 6 of Pentacles in this deck is, focus please. Focus please, thank you. It's deemed as success. It's called success in this deck. But what it is, and you see this person standing out in a field, a very sunny sky and green grass, and they got coins falling into into their shirt, like the pocket of their shirt. Now, typically, in traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, the 6 of Pentacles is equal give and take. It's someone holding scales and equally giving back. So here, I'm really getting a vibe as if I have a feeling that work that you've been doing up until now is finally paying off. And so in the beginning of the week, you're just really going to feel kind of the boons of your labor. You're going to be given, the rewards for hard work that you've been doing lately. And it's going to be kind of a nice breather time. The warmth of the sky also kind of speaks of the sun to me. And I just think at the beginning of the week, you're really, and especially money-wise, it might be a pay week, or you're just going to feel really abundant. And maybe you've been working some overtime, or you're just going to kind of feel like, going to feel really like what the work that you've put in, you are getting back. Now, by the middle of the week, things are gonna turn a little bit. By the middle of the week, you got the moon. And this is really a beautiful card. I love the art in all these decks, but you see a woman who's kind of sitting on the moon, and what it is you see the 2 towers and then like a raging river in between. And then you have the 2 wolves, or what is normally a wolf and a dog. I love this because it has the 2 fish, which, the moon is a Piscean card. But by the middle of the week, you are going to just feel, you're going to feel a little bit like a boat that's adrift. I know that's kind of a sudden thing, to go from feeling affluent to kind of a despondent kind of emotional feeling. But I have a feeling that maybe you've been working hard at something, and all of a sudden you're just kind of pulling into yourself. And the moon is really a questioning of like churning emotions, what's under the surface. Sorry. All right, guys. That is Dude with No Muffler. If I've mentioned him before, but it's a guy with a souped up Camaro. It's intentionally meant to be obnoxiously loud. And he likes to audio bomb my readings, even though I film at different times. So that was Dude. Dude has gone. Hopefully I won't hear him again. It's funny, sometimes one reading that didn't even, well, that reading had gone a little bit long. He drove by and then I was like, oh good, he's gone. And then about 40 minutes later, he drove by again. I was like, God, I got him coming and going. It's like Dude with No Muffler went up to the grocery store, got his toilet paper and came back. So, all right, I'm gonna stop flabbing. All right, but the moon is definitely, I always get, I get moon emotions whenever, and it's funny, the moon can come directly after a sun moment. It's kind of like highs and lows, but it doesn't mean that you're, it doesn't mean that your pendulum swinging or anything like that. But I think what happens is sometimes when you're doing really well, either that or maybe you're making good money, but it's at a job that kind of is a little bit more intense than you intended, or maybe you're working really hard and it's bringing you a lot of rewards, but then you start questioning, okay, is this what I want to do forever? Am I happy? The moon is definitely those kind of, it's a lot of deep-seated hidden emotion, and it kind of makes you delve deep and say, why am I feeling this way? What is in the subconscious of what I'm feeling? So here, I think by the middle of the week, you're going to start off feeling really like the work that you're doing is paying off, but something by the middle of the week will have you questioning what you're feeling. Maybe you're putting on a very happy faceplate at work, or maybe it's, maybe you've had some hard events going on in your life. I know this year has been kind of hard for me too, and it's funny, one minute I'll feel really on top of the world, and then the next minute when you have a second to be alone, all of a sudden all of those emotions start churning, and you really kind of have to ask yourself, am I happy? Why am I feeling this way? What is this, kind of discontent that's bubbling to the surface? Where does that source from? And it is a very Piscean thing. It's like you almost have to delve really deep, and it is good to do if you do throw tarot or if you do oracle. It's good to kind of really, have readings to kind of see what's going on inside, or just, if you're having, also if you're having any interesting dreams, maybe keep a notebook next to your bed so you can write down what the dreams were, so you can analyze it. Now, by the end of the week, you got the Princess of Wands, which is the Page of Wands, and you got the King of Cups. And oh my goodness, so here, the Princess of Wands, and I love the tiger. I love the tiger on this card. By the end of the week, you're going to be wanting to take some kind of action. It's going to be a small action. It's not going to be a big one, but you're going to take some kind of action towards somebody. Now, the King of Cups is, or this could very well be someone who's taking this action towards you. Actually, I'm getting kind of that vibe. I have a feeling the King of Cups is a wonderful character. I love seeing him come up into a reading because the King of Cups is a very mature guy, and actually I love this depiction of him because Cancer the sign of Cancer is ruled by the crab, and that's a water sign, and Cancerian men are just so sweet. They're really nurturing, and they're kind, and they're loving, and they're giving emotionally, and you can just see that this king, you can see he's riding up on a white horse. He's almost like the dream come true. And the beautiful thing about kings too is that they're very mature. The King of Cups is a mature guy. He doesn't promise anything that he can't deliver, and when he brings you a message, or when he comes up to you, it's really, it's going to be romantic and kind and cool and sweet and just all the things that you want. So I think by the end of the week, that you might have some kind of, and it's not even just a message. I think it's more than a text message. I think you're going to have a mature, well, if you're a female, you're going to have a mature male kind of take an action to get your attention. It'll be a small action. Maybe it's something like holding your hand or opening a door for you. It can be as small as that. But you're going to have a very nice male figure do something kind for you, and it's going to take action. And it's almost going to be kind of brave. It's almost going to be like with the tiger. I just get this feeling like someone's putting their best foot forward, and maybe that hasn't happened up until now. Now, it could be in response to this moon too. Maybe you started to have kind of a blue week, and then somebody, it could be a boyfriend, could be a guy friend, or someone. And this also reads the same for if you're male and watching this reading. It just means someone with a lot of water, a very mature water person, compassionate. It would do it for you. But yeah, I think by the middle of the week you're going to be feeling a little bit low, and then this really kind King of Cups is going to come in and do something kind of cool for you. It's really going to lift your spirits. And now this was crossing it a little bit too, is that we have the High Priestess coming in, and it was kind of blocking. And anytime something comes in as an angle, I have a feeling that what this kind of tells me is that this person, and the fact that we have 3 moons here. You have a full moon behind the King of Cups. You have a waxing moon, against the moon, and actually the moon card. And last deck, they got the same crescent moon this way, and what that is that's a quarter waxing moon, and that's going to be in about 3 weeks. We just had a full moon. We just had a full moon in Taurus. Now, and then the last one is a waning. It's a waning moon, third quarter waning moon, and it's with the High Priestess. Okay, I'm going to stop talking astrology. I'm sorry. I know I'm getting off track, but so the High Priestess, the High Priestess is the sit back and wait card, and she's major arcana. She understands conscious thought and unconscious thought. And she's very in tune. She knows what to do. And the fact that it's crossing the King of Cups, I really get the feeling that you might have somebody in your life who is kind of inching their way towards you in kind of a romantic way, and you're sitting back and trying to make the decision on what to do about that relationship. The jury is still out, and you're being kind of cautious about it. It could be from things that you've experienced in the past that made it this way. The High Priestess is she's got the wisdom of the ages behind her, right? She's more, she understands unconscious, and she understands conscious, and she can see what it is she can see a mile away what someone's intentions are too. And she's very mysterious. I think what it is that you come across as mysterious to this King of Cups, like they're not quite sure what's going on with you. You're a little bit elusive in a very attractive way. But I definitely think, I think what's happening is you're going to feel a little blue by the middle of the week. You might have some stuff going on, or maybe even some emotional things coming up from your past. Again, we are in a Mercury retrograde, so you might be thinking about things or deciding. And when you get kind of blue, you might have a very sweet person, male or female, in the King of Cups energy coming to bring you kind of something to cheer you up. I think it's going to be more of an in-person meeting or something, some kind of action. And I think after you take the action, you will appreciate the action, but I do think that it's going to make you want to sit back and kind of analyze. And the fact that, and I think that you won't really come to a decision about what happened until the waxing moon, which will probably be about 4 weeks from now. Probably, yeah. Now the tile that you got the flute. And definitely I like the flute because what I think of when I think of the flute is you can think of, you can I do kind of think of it as something, a bit of a calling. You can kind of think of it as the Pied Piper, kind of following along where the piper goes. But I think what it's doing is, I think what this is doing, and the fact that it's with the moon and it's with the high priestess, I think you're really questioning yourself as to what your unconscious behaviors are. I think with the moon and the high priestess, I think you're aware that you've kind of been in a automatic response to things. Possibly, just triggers from your past, because all this moon energy is emotions, and it's subconscious. It's very ingrained. It could be from family upbringing. It can be from previous relationships. But I think you're kind of exercising that, and I think in a very wise way, you're determining. I have a feeling that you're wondering. You have someone who's being very good to you, and you're wondering why you're so resistant, and I think you're questioning your autonomic responses to that. Now, your advice, and you got 3 cards, but the first one you got the blue heron, and I really love this card. This is actually on the back of the deck, but make a stand for what you believe in and do what feels right in spite of any judgment or disapproval from others. And that is seriously high priestess. That is, you can almost look at it. She almost looks kind of like, but yeah, I think what it is that I think maybe, and where it says disapproval from others, that's following where the Pied Piper goes, right? Are you going to be a lemming, right, and follow the Pied Piper, or are you going to be your own person, right? Maybe some of this moon energy is tied up in expectations of what your family or other people want you to do. But here it's definitely saying, follow your own intuition, follow your high priestess. Don't go where the Pied Piper goes. Go where your gut, and really, question, really scrutinize the decision that you make, because there's a lot of emotion going on that might lead you astray. But I think you will, make the right choice. Now the other one, what was on top was unicorn, and this one's it's a little girly, but it's still got a good message. Indulge in your creative, imaginative, and magical side through some form of artistic expression. And honestly, the page, the Princess of Wands, is artistic expression too. So maybe, maybe that is kind of hinting at something that you can do. Maybe you play an instrument, a woodwind instrument, but it is telling you, or maybe one therapeutic way that you work out your feelings is through art or something else. That would be a way. Also, I think that's a good way to not get too overwhelmed whenever you're feeling kind of emotionally overstimulated. It's good to take a break and do something that lets you check out, something artistic, whatever your hobbies are. And then the last one that kind of clarified the unicorn was polar bear. And polar bear is wow, you got 2 stand up for yourselves. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. Stand up for yourself and speak your truth respectfully and compassionately with no attachment to the outcome. Look at that, guys. Make a stand for what you believe in and do what feels right, despite of any judgment, and stand up and speak for your truth respectfully and compassionately. You know what? This might very well be some kind of pressure, either with your social group or with work, because we got a Pied Piper feeling, and then you got kind of, rewards for going along, but then, inside you're feeling, kind of, and the high priestess is definitely about ethics too. It's about what you feel, what she feels to be right. So gosh, guys, I hope this helps. I hope that makes sense. But definitely in the next week, really think about what you believe to be right. Analyze any hidden or deep emotions, and just stand up. You don't have to, just because just because you don't want to follow the crowd, it doesn't make you a bad person. And just like it says, respectfully, just say, you know, if there's something that you don't want to go along with, say, I respectfully decline. I don't want to do that, you know, and, you know, don't let anybody pressure you into doing anything you don't want to do. All right, so deck number 2. All right, last deck. So let's go ahead and do deck number 3. How are we doing for time? So deck number 3. What's your week? Whoa, good lordy. You saw that. Get a flipper flopper. Okay. So. Wow, we got the 4 of Cups in the first deck. Good night. It hasn't been a terrible regular, like we've definitely, you know. Here, I'm gonna go ahead and take that. That was sliding. All right, so what's our advice? Deck 3. What's their animal advice card? Number 3. Can you see? Are we filming? Yes. Okay. Deck number 3. Okay, I'm kind of waiting for a very prominent card, like this is your card sign. Okay. Deck number 3. Anything else? Get your dice. So glad to have dice again. I really like the story. I love dice. Deck number 3. What is their dice? Ooh, all right. Oops. All right. So deck number 3. Let me just get some energies here. Yeah, I'm definitely getting a vibe. Now, the beginning of the week, you got the 10 of Cups in reverse. And the 10 of Cups is that emotional fulfillment. It's like that, it's that joy, it's that happiness that money can't buy. And when you have it in reverse, it kind of means that it's either delayed or thwarted in some time. Sorry, big word. But it's delayed or it's just postponed. It just seems like you want your 10 of Cups. You want to be emotionally happy, but it's just not forthcoming. It's not forthcoming. Now, the typical 10 of Cups has a family. It has a husband, wife, and 2 children. Here, it looks like on this card, when it's upright, you see what looks like a mother and a son. Or a mother and a child, and it's in the reverse. So I'm just getting this feeling like you at the beginning of the week there might be a little bit of discontent within the family, possibly between a mother and a son, or you and your child, and it's just either that or it's just a general, you know. The overall energies that I'm getting is just that it's very thwarted. Like you want happiness and it's just not coming fast enough. It's not happening even though you are putting effort and energy into making it happen. So in the beginning of the week, you're gonna feel like a little frustrated because you just want to be happy. That's all you want. You just want to be happy and it's not really forthcoming. Now, by the middle of the week, you got the Fool and you got the 3 of Wands. Now, the Fool, and again, if you get a chance to watch the How to Tarot, he's a very happy-go-lucky character. He knows that the universe, he's looking up at the sky, he has minimal things to take with him. He has only the bare necessities. He has what he needs to go off on his journey. And he anticipates that everything is going to be okay, that everything's going to turn out right. And it is a sign of starting afresh. It's kind of taking a step off the cliff and knowing that, what you want will come to you. But underneath the Fool, you have the Three of Wands, and it's virtue. But when you look at the center of the card, you see, and it's kind of, this is a watercolor deck, but you see someone who's kind of leaning into their head. It's almost like they have a headache, or that kind of putting your head in your hands moment when you're just like, seriously, like, how much longer do I have to wait for this? So by the middle of the week, you're going to be very gung-ho. You're going to be like, okay, all I want to do is be happy. It's not happening. And this could be Mercury retrograde related too. It just feels like things are just not going smoothly, right? But you just feel like either with work, with family, or in your emotional life, you're just not feeling that contentment that you want, even though you're trying to be happy and you're doing the things that would bring that about. By the middle of the week, you're going to take kind of a new tack, or maybe not a new tack, but a renewed kind of attempt. And you're going to say, look, okay, I want to be happy. Let's be happy. We're going to do this. Let's start off. We're going to do this. But underneath it, you got the Three of Wands, which is virtue, and the Fool is a virtuous character. He's not in the reverse. He's not being stupid. But I think what it's saying, though, is that the Three of Wands is a waiting card. It's waiting for your ships to come in. It's looking out over the ocean and seeing. Now, again, it is kind of the thing that the two cards have in common is that it is expecting the best. And the Ten of Cups, even when it's reversed, is the best. It's a very good, happy card. So what I'm thinking here is by the middle of the week, you're gonna kind of have this renewed energy. You're still gonna be optimistic. You're still gonna be like, okay, let's try this again. But you're still gonna be waiting. And you're still gonna be waiting, and you're still gonna have that happy outcome in your head without it actually having arrived yet. By the end of the week, you're going to have, your energy is going to be the Four of Cups and the Ten of Wands. So now in this deck, the Four of Cups says luxury. And here, I think it depicts it as a little bit of overindulgence. The fact that you have someone who's kind of leaning back, and then you've got grapes. If you can see that, you have kind of grapes in the upper right hand. And what strikes me is that at the bottom you kind of have what looks like a shadowy character seeming to come up and trying to grab the person who's sitting inside of the flower. Now, typically the Four of Cups is the person who has three overturned cups. He's sitting under a tree and he has three overturned cups and one cup coming out at him. That he's ignoring. It's like it's just apathy. We don't want to see anything else. We've already been through enough. Now, the Four of Cups being luxury is, I have a feeling that by the end of the week, and just to read it as it would read, and with grapes and other things, grapes are at the turn of the century, grapes were a luxury. They were the fruit that the rich indulged in, and it is used to make wine. I think by the end of the week, you're just going to be kind of not really giving up, but kind of in a place where you're just kind of pausing. You're like, okay, I'm still waiting, and it goes from 3 to 4 too, right? It goes from the Three of Wands to the Four of Cups, and the Ten of Cups is in reverse. So I think, you start off like, okay, I want to be happy. Happy isn't happening. Happy is delayed. Okay, let me put renewed energy into it. Still waiting. Then you're like, oh God, I'm still waiting. Let me just. It's kind of like a pause. It's kind of like a pause, and while you're pausing, you might be indulging a little bit. Maybe you're stress eating. It could be stress drinking. It could be just kind of having a glass of wine and being like, okay, I'm just gonna pretend like I'm moving along, and it really is not kind of going anywhere. It's kind of being stuck, and not in a bad way, but it's kind of like, okay, And to describe or to clarify that kind of, lethargic, apathetic feeling, you got the Ten of Wands. Now the Ten of Wands, and you get the same colors. You've got a lot of pinks and grays. And what concerns me is that this first one, you see someone who looks kind of vibrant in pink, and then you have the shadows reaching up, looking like they're trying to catch her. And then by the time you get to the Ten of Wands, you see this person is half gray and half pink, and it's almost like the pink transitioned into gray, and it means oppression. Now, I don't want you to get scared. There's nothing bad at the end of your week, but it could just mean that you're going to feel like you're working really hard and not getting anywhere, because the Ten of Wands is the person carrying all the wands. Now, typically the Ten of Wands does mean that you need to put some wands down. It could mean that, just don't try so hard. It's okay, you may want to try to watch any habits by the end of the week. It might be that you just feel like, okay, gosh, it's not happening. I'm putting all this energy into it and it's just not happening. Let me just marathon watch TV, or let me just, snack on my favorite chocolate, or, let me have a glass of wine with dinner. But it is just telling you that you're kind of feeling stressed out. You're feeling overburdened because you're trying so hard to get this Ten of Cups. You're just trying to be happy and it's not really happening, so you're pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and it just kind of, you do want to take that easy. You don't want to keep going Mach 5. If something is resisting or not going, don't throw more energy at it. Just kind of pace yourself and try to discern what is not working. And also, be mindful of how you're coping as well, is what that tells me. Now, underneath, the card that wanted to come out was the Knight of Discs. And the Knight of Discs, he is the King of Pentacles. What it is in this deck, the Knights are kings. I think, one second, let me double check that real quick. I'm almost positive. There's different decks that have, yeah. Sorry guys, yeah, we have princesses, so yeah, the knights are kings, so I always get thrown by that because he looks like a knight. But yeah, so you got the King of Pentacles. So definitely, what this also tells me is that part of this might be that you're kind of, the half of this happiness that you're pursuing might be you building your foundation. Like you might be working extra hours at work, or you might be kind of getting yourself into a position where you are in, and this can be a man or a woman, but where you're trying to get yourself into the King of Pentacles position. You're trying to have enough money financially. You're trying to have the happy home. But the Knight of Pentacles is also, or the King of Pentacles is the slowest moving king. So this does play into this kind of stagnant energy. It's almost like, okay, this is my goal. I want that 10 of Cups. And by the beginning of the week, you really have it like, okay, gosh, I want this. It's not happening. Then you kind of put more energy into it, but you're still waiting. And then by the end of the week, you're really kind of overburdening yourself. You're probably coping a little bit. And the King of Pentacles is a very physical kind of guy too. He's the guy who likes his steak dinners. He likes good wine. He likes the quality things in life. So I also think that this is your natural temperament. You are kind of a slow and steady kind of person. You don't like to rush things, but I do think that when you want something, if it doesn't come at the pace that you want, you will get frustrated and you'll just keep pushing. And what it's kind of telling you is that you don't want to push so hard. By the end of the week, you might be feeling a little burnt out. You definitely have a slow and steady energy about you, but by the end of the week, just kind of make sure that you're not coping in any unhealthy ways, and that you're not taking on any responsibilities that really aren't yours, or that you're not pushing too hard. Now, for your tile, you got the little medical kit. And what that tells me is that it might mean, and you know, this isn't a scare thing, but this time of year, you know, it starts to get cold and people do start to get a little bit sick. If you have, astrologically wise, if you have Neptune squaring anything, like either Neptune in the sky, which is right, it's in its own sign of Pisces. So if you've got Sagittarius, Virgo, or Gemini anywhere in your chart, especially if it's your Mars or your Sun, you might be feeling a little bit under the weather right now. Also, I would look at right now, the Mars in the sky is coming up on, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank, but what you would want to look at is definitely, if you know your own chart, just make sure nothing is squaring your Mars, or that none of your planets are squaring the Mars that is in the sky, because what happens is, I've noticed that you'll catch a cold, you'll just kind of have a sick day, and this kind of pertains to that too. Maybe one night, you know, you get a little, you eat too much, maybe you eat something that doesn't agree with you. It's not saying that'll happen, but it does say that you might be at a risk to that, because you're also going to be pretty stressed out with the 10 of Wands. And the moment that you start getting worn out, your immune system is not going to be as high, and you're going to be more susceptible, and it is flu and cold season. So your advice for the week is, the first thing you got was octopus, which was practice shape-shifting by altering your physical appearance and mannerisms. And what I kind of get from that is not so much that you need to practice shape-shifting, but I have a feeling that this is kind of going with the 10 of Wands, where it's just kind of saying, like, pick your battles, or it might be saying kind of I'm not telling you to dim to fit in, or to not be yourself, but it might tell you to kind of don't fight against, you know, the tide, so to speak. I'm kind of getting the saying, don't, if you can't beat them, join them, but not in a bad way. Definitely, if there's anything that you ethically disagree with, don't concede for that. But I think there might be just a few smaller battles, just a few, you know, I kind of get, like, you know, when someone puts the toilet paper over versus under, instead of fighting a fight with that, because that will decrease your, you know, it'll stress you out to have little bickering kind of fights over nothing serious. Here, I'm just kind of saying that maybe you want to kind of go with the flow, and if someone's doing something, maybe try doing things the way the other person does. Try, you know, and again, if you feel like you're not getting happiness, maybe you can look at other people and see what they do to make themselves happy and kind of emulate that. You know what I mean? Let me watch other people and kind of mirror them, or you know, kind of pretend to be them, to see if it would bring, if that's the secret, if that is, you know, just kind of learning the new skills, or emulating what you need to do to be happier. But I also think it's a little bit of, you know, pick your battles, because anything that would stress you out, if you're too strict about something, if, you know, that might add to your burden and, you know, make you more susceptible to getting sick. Then you got cardinal, which is the polarities of your spiritual pursuits and physical pleasures are out of balance. So do whatever is necessary to bring them back into equilibrium. And oh, gosh, you know, when you look at it, the Fool is a very spiritual character. And honestly, wands are spirit too. And but cups and pentacles are physical. And remember how I told you that the King of Pentacles is a very, you know, steak and potatoes kind of guy, and then cups can mean, and especially when it says luxury, you know, King of Pentacles and luxury. Yeah, I do think that, you know, wands being spirit and Fool being spirit, but then cups and pentacles being physical, like your physical world. It's saying your spiritual pursuits and physical pleasures are out of balance. So maybe you're pursuing again. It could be that, you know, you make the good money and you have the good food, you have the roof over your head, but you might be feeling like there's something else that you need to do spiritually that would make you happy, and you're not pursuing it. And by the end of the week, you know, it becomes, and again, wands are spirit, and you're going to have 10 wands that are kind of weighing on you. So, yeah, I definitely, I know this is a different kind of reading. I'm getting a unique energy here, but I definitely say that, you know, if you feel like, you know, something is spiritually calling to you, investigate that. You know, it is going to be a little bit of a waiting game, but don't overburden yourself, don't push. And by the end of the week, just definitely make sure that you're not feeling under the weather, or that you're not, you know, maybe you're, you know, mind your health. You know, make sure that if you know, the days are shorter now. I know it's hard to get out and get a walk, but, you know, make sure you're drinking plenty of water, that you're eating healthy foods, and that, you know, you're not overindulging in anything that might be harmful for you. But all right, so deck number 3, that was your reading. Well, I thank you guys so much. I know it was a little bit of a pokey read. I promise you, I am gearing up. I will have more energy next week. I'm gearing up to do a whole week of videos for you. It's practically going to be 1 video a day, so I'm really excited for that. I hope you can join me. And so also, if you want to join me on Tuesday, it kicks off with the How to Tarot, and it's card number 7. So I'm really looking forward to that. As always, I would be honored if you would like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you in the next reading. Okay, bye.